N. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE Smackdown every Friday night after the bell, but tonight's a special night as we'll be recapping it on Saturday instead as I went to the Phillies game. My name is Jonathan Dell. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hey, you know, we're baseball fans here as well, so good for getting out to a real live baseball game, but we've also got real live pro wrestling shows to do here. So without further ado, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from SmackDown from July 26, 2024?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And the lead is a little interesting because we had a match and kind of a segment promo backstage thing with the Bloodline. I'll stick with the match because I was a little bit more impressed with that. So I'd say the lead is Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax knock off Bayley and Michin. Michin taking the pin. No surprise there. I thought this was a pretty good match. Two of our favorites here with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, we both seem to like, and Bayley and Michin. So, Dom, what'd you think about this main event tag match?
Setting up SummerSlam as the SmackDowns this time of year tend to do. This is basically the go-home show because the night before SummerSlam, the people involved in SummerSlam aren't going to do a whole lot. So this is your go-home show. So confrontations between a lot of big people who are going to be wrestling on SummerSlam. And are you surprised that they're pushing Nia Jax Bayley this hard? That it's the main event of what's essentially the go-home SmackDown?
Yeah.
Cody's in Japan for this week.
Oh.
So Cody wasn't here. We got some of the other things during the show that we'll get to, but surprised that they're pushing Nia Jax Bayley this hard?
Well, definitely because you'd think they would be Cody and Solo Sikoa. They'd be really pushing. And they kind of did, but, you know, it was that segment there at the end, which, you know, I'll touch on that in a little bit.
Just backstage talking with the Bloodline and Solo doing just a promo from backstage, a pre-recorded vignette or, you know, whatever. Yeah, yes, that was something, but you know, they sent Cody to Japan the week before SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's weird, but I guess they have a show in Japan, and I wonder, was it just like a house show that they were doing out in Japan?
Mini tour. I think it was maybe 3 different nights. AJ Styles was there, Shinsuke Nakamura, of course. I think a lot of Damage Control was there as well. There may have been an Asuka appearance, even though I don't know if she wrestled yet. But, you know, a great talent over there, apparently well-received shows. But, yes, house shows, not really a lot of footage on the WWE products as far as I could tell, other than just saying, hey, WWE's having a great time over in Japan. But, yeah, Cody Rhodes not in the States 8 days before SummerSlam.
Yeah, weird.
Main eventing. So it falls to, okay, what else are you going to promo really hard on the go-home SmackDown? And they chose Bayley and Nia Jax by putting them in a tag team here. Michin gets jumped on her way down to the ring on the entrance ramp. So most of this match is Michin injured, trying to climb her way up to the ring apron. When she finally does, Nia Jax runs around the side of the ring, pulls her off again, and Samoan drops her on the floor. So, you know, it was Bayley being in a handicap match for most of this.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the finish occurs with Tiffany Stratton getting her Money in the Bank briefcase and hitting Bayley with it. And then Nia Jax hits the Annihilator. So yeah, we'll talk about this when we get to another segment as well. But the image going off the air as far for the fans live in attendance and for those of us who are watching the action live is the challenger winning and the champ being vanquished heading into SummerSlam. And I know a lot of times you do that because if the babyface gets over on the free TV primetime show before SummerSlam, well, then why bother watching the pay-per-view? It's like, okay, even if the babyfaces don't win at the pay-per-view, you want the babyfaces to still be chasing and still be in somewhat of the underdog role going into the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You like that kind of build. You don't want the payoff with the baby faces coming too soon. So, and in that sense, it's almost formulaic. But I thought Bayley looked great in the match.
Yeah, she definitely did.
Wrestling 1-on-2 for most of it. So she winds up looking strong, even though she's beaten.
Yeah, Michin was laying on the outside a lot, wasn't she?
Michin was she was attacked beforehand, and they were like, "Oh, this is going to be a handicap match." And she finally gets up, and then she gets attacked again, and so she barely gets in there. She finally gets a hot tag 11 minutes into it. Winds up kicking Nia off the apron while doing a rope walk. This was probably the spot of the match. The sequence here is Michin grabs Tiffany Stratton. She does the rope walk DDT in the opposing corner. And as she does the rope walk, she kicks Nia Jax off the apron and then finishes the move to hit the tornado DDT on Tiffany Stratton. That was my spot of the match. That was a fun spot.
Yeah, very good.
So Michin got her licks in while she was in there, but I mean, Bayley had to lose this match going into the pay-per-view. And she did. But the way they did it and the way she looked, does this make you more or less interested in SummerSlam?
Well, I like this matchup already, and I've liked Nia Jax a lot. I am interested to see what happens. I feel like Nia Jax is going to win it over Bayley.
Okay.
And I'll say that because SummerSlam is traditionally a big heel show. Heels typically go over on SummerSlam, and faces typically go over on WrestleMania.
Okay.
I wonder if Triple H is going to change it up at all, and do like a 50-50 split. But I just think Nia Jax has improved vastly over this year, and I would say she's deserving to get the strap.
Okay.
She's a person too that's got heel heat right now, that is just kind of old school, if you will, where they're not like, man, they have heel heat and they're still likable though. It's like she's not really getting likable heat, which is good. I like that. Just give me a straight heel.
Nia's got straight heel heat, whereas it seems that if Tiffany Stratton turned, people would embrace her very quickly as a baby.
Oh yeah, Tiffany Stratton feels like a face at this point.
She's getting there. She's moving in that direction.
Speaking of Tiffany Stratton, I thought she was impressive tonight because I looked up at the TV and I was thinking to myself, I don't feel like it seems like she's so experienced at this point. I can't believe how short of a period of time she's been like on my TV screen and how good she is. It's ridiculous.
Well, she does some really difficult moves, like that cartwheel into the pickup and Alabama Slam. Like, that's a complex move there to do, and she did. Like, you don't expect someone who's not a seasoned veteran to do something like that, or like the handspring back elbow, which she did not hit today because Bayley caught her into the belly to back suplex.
Yes,
but be able to nail that handspring back elbow, that's a veteran move. That's a move that almost no one does.
Oh, it's the handspring back elbow, and it looks fantastic. Like her athleticism when she does it, you could tell she's a fantastic athlete. When she does the back spring elbow, you're like, whoa. Kudos, it's Olympic season, so kudos to the gymnastics folks out there. But when you see the gymnastics stuff, I'm not a huge fan of it all the time, but she's so good at it. It's like it's really a sight to behold.
Because she backs it up with power.
Yeah, exactly. There's a huge elbow at the end of it. There's like makes sense,
It looks like her stuff is delivered with impact. All of her other moves as well, like that short missile drop kick to the opponent who's seated on the mat.
Yeah,
These things look like they're delivered with impact. The Alabama Slam.
Mhm.
These are high impact maneuvers. She's not just flying around the ring and doing acrobatics. Like she's a wrestler. She feels like a wrestler.
That Alabama Slam is so nasty.
It is.
I'm going to be doing a breakdown of her Alabama Slam. So
all right,
yeah,
yes,
I got some video. I did some editing. It's probably a week away or so, but
there you go. There's a teaser for you out there, and don't bury the lead, fan nation. There,
yeah, I want
don't
to
bury the Leadville.
I don't
be on the lookout. Breakdown of the Alabama Slam. Dr. John breaks it down for you. Subscribe to our channel so you know when that's happening. Wherever you're watching us live right now, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, the mother load is on YouTube. Subscribe to Don't Bury the League. Hey, we're up over 700 subscribers, and we will be telling you later about another benchmark that we hit and one we're getting close to. So subscribe at the channel so you can be alerted and you can see when John puts out all this cool content.
Yeah.
There's a little aside there, but anything else you wanted to say about this match?
I think we're pretty good for the lead here. Maybe we could go into the backstage promo. What you think of that?
Well, if Cody's in Japan for 3 dates during this week, you still want that match to be front and center somehow.
Mhm.
So yeah, have Solo Sikoa cut a promo. He drops Roman Reigns in there as well. He name drops Roman Reigns. So they're kind of setting up for Roman Reigns' return whenever this happens, and that there might be some rivalry in the bloodline when that occurs. You mentioned WrestleMania being the babyface go-over pay-per-view and SummerSlam being the heel one. Cody, of course, wins WrestleMania this year, big babyface to go off the air there, and Sami Zayn beats Gunther. But we had Drew McIntyre beat Seth Rollins, and then another heel cash in Damian Priest on Drew McIntyre. We also had the tag team champs. One of them was a heel team that won it for the men, and one was a babyface team when they split the tag team belt. Logan Paul still the U.S. champ. So I think they've done a good mix of maybe getting out of that predictability. So I don't know what's going to happen here in SummerSlam. I don't know if it's fair to now. Of course, if it happens that all the heels win, or at least the big titles, then we'll go, yeah, it's SummerSlam. It's the heel pay-per-view. But I don't know if the WWE is that into the formulaic pay-per-view booking anymore. I think it's going to be interesting. Now that said, I'm with you that Nia Jax maybe should get a belt at this point because she's done so well in her return to the company. And she looks like someone who could be a great heel champion. She looks like a champion. And like you said, she's right now wrestling as a heel and not a heel who's trying to be too cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. Not the too cool for school heel that, you had the Stone Cold Steve Austin probably did it best, right? Where everyone loved him, but he was a heel.
Yes. And then people were like trying to get John Cena to do that, and he wouldn't. And so then he became kind of a heel.
Right.
He became halfway a heel for people who wanted him to do that, and he wouldn't.
Yeah.
And even now, like Seth Rollins is kind of that too cool baby face, whereas Cody Rhodes is maybe your more traditional baby face.
Oh, is he ever? Yeah.
So there's a good mix of heels for different reasons and baby faces for different reasons. So the WWE has done a good job with giving us not so shallow wrestlers out there as personas. I like it. And the Solo Sikoa one is I kind of did a meander there. Solo Sikoa seems like the heel who is a heel. He's not trying to secretly get the crowd on his side.
Yeah.
Like he wants his fellow wrestlers to acknowledge him, but he's not like begging the crowd to acknowledge him, almost inviting a cheer. Like he hasn't done that yet. Like Roman did that.
So, we have this is the lead here, Dom. So I think it's time for the follow.
Yeah, we're kind of
and
getting into the follow here as we talk the backstage segment.
yeah, and let me know, what do you think of or I should say, what match do you want to go to next?
This only had 3 matches, but one of the matches was almost 40 minutes in duration. The tag team gauntlet was bell time 8:42 here in the East Coast of the U.S. We're watching here in Southern New Jersey. Jacob Fatu hitting the Samoan drop and then a leaping top turn moonsault onto Montez Ford of the Street Profits for the final pinfall occurs at 9:21. That's about a 39-minute match, bell to bell. The Street Profits were in there, as far as I could tell, for around 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This was a fun match. Not a lot of spots to go through until the finish there. Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin start off against Angel and Berto of Legado del Fantasma. This goes about 4 minutes with Baron pinning on Angel there. Then Street Profits come in, and this segment goes about 11 minutes. They hit a double team pin on Apollo Crews for the pinfall. That begins Pretty Deadly, lasts about 6 minutes. Street Profits get their second elimination by hitting a blockbuster to pin Elton Prince. The OC comes down. They go about another 8 minutes. The Street Profits beat the OC at 9:11. And then that's when the Bloodline comes down. It's Tama Tonga and it's Jacob Fatu. They're going with an injury angle for Tongaloa. So Jacob Fatu's out there. And Montez Ford winds up this far into the match. Montez Ford's hitting like top turn cross bodies off the top rope, getting a two count on Tama Tonga. He misses a top turn splash on Tama, who then tags in Jacob Fatu, and that becomes your closing sequence. That closing face down there between those two teams lasted about 10 minutes. Impressive match, lots of action. I haven't seen a gauntlet go this long before. This was nearly a third of the show. It's a 2-hour program.
Mm-hmm.
This gauntlet goes 40 minutes. Like, this was something else.
I wonder, do you think they went too long, or they were supposed to get 40 minutes out of it?
I don't know. I wonder if they were supposed to get 40 minutes out of it. Because they only planned one other match at the beginning, and one other match, I don't know if a match was axed from the program, but whatever it was, I thought this gauntlet worked. It was a lot of fun. And it looked more realistic to have, some of these face-offs go 6, 8, 10 minutes, 11 minutes. Almost like it was a real match. And then for, the Street Profits to be like, oh, these guys still in it at the end with a team that's totally fresh against the Bloodline here. So, yeah, the Bloodline wins. But on the other hand, the Street Profits look like they looked very strong in this match. And that's going to be something we talk more about in the Cheap Heat segment of today's program, because there's a question there as to what's up with the Street Profits. But they look so strong in here. The Bloodline team winning this means they get a tag team title shot now, and it looks like the Street Profits are positioned to be an early right away number 1 contender for that. They were in this match for more than half an hour. They defeated 3 teams before losing to the freshest team out there.
Maybe Triple H is feeling the pressure.
Maybe.
Like, what are we doing with these guys? How come during his era they kind of got squashed? So
yeah, because they were going good as part of the Pride, and now you're wondering, what's up with the Pride? It looks like they're just back down to the Street Profits now, except B-Fab is there, and we don't know what she's going to be doing. Is she back to being a valet for no reason, even though it looks like she can wrestle?
Yeah.
So none of the teams in this looked bad. Everybody looked at least okay. Everybody looked like they belonged. It was some good tag team wrestling. And it was a fun, full 1/3 of the show, I thought. What do you think about the structure of running a gauntlet match like this and letting it go this many times? And do you think there were any teams in it who maybe did not deserve to be in there? There were some teams we hadn't seen in a while, right? Pretty Deadly, the OC as a tag team.
The OC, I think they're just jobbers at this point, or even off TV generally. And that kind of makes sense. I think they're getting up there in age, and I think they're just they've been hanging around for a while, collecting a paycheck from WWE. So I'm not mad at them, but Pretty Deadly feels a little underutilized, in my opinion, at this point, because I like them and they can work, which is weird because their gimmick is so goofy, and then suddenly like they get in the ring and you're like, this is a pretty good tag team, actually.
Yes. Now, Pretty Deadly, part of it was Elton Prince getting hurt, which they somehow turned into gold. You know, with Elton Strong hashtagging and trending on social media.
Elton Strong.
He's being pushed around in a wheelchair because he's rehabbing his shoulder. You know, so that wound up being gold. But I wonder if the surprising chemistry between Austin Theory and Grayson Waller kind of killed Pretty Deadly because they were almost the same kind of tag team. These goofy younger guys who are kind of gimmicky, but then you see them in the ring and it winds up, oh, they can wrestle. And Grayson Waller and Austin Theory wound up getting a push. Now, I wonder if, as they're teasing the breakdown and eventual split of A-Town Down Under, if now there's room now for Pretty Deadly as that goofball heel team.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think Pretty Deadly has some potential, but I wonder if their kind of spot on the roster was they were kind of edged out of their spot by another team that just maybe surprisingly got over.
Right.
Yeah. So, and the OC, I mean, AJ Styles was in Japan as part of this tour. So good to see the OC back out on TV. I thought they looked all right. The only guys who were one and done in this gauntlet were Angel and Berto, who we know are jobbers in LDF. Pretty Deadly, who could be jobbers, but don't have to be. They won the last time there was a number one contender gauntlet tag team match. And so they got their tag team title match. And the OC. So I don't think anybody was made to look bad here.
Yeah.
Bloodline getting number one contender shot for the belts. Does it look like DIY is going to be a very short-lived transitional champion here?
Yeah.
As tag team belts. I mean, does it look like the Bloodline has to get these straps?
They've been like off TV too. I haven't seen much from DIY like in general. So it totally makes sense that they'll put the SmackDown men's tag team titles on them. Does it feel like we don't need 4 tag belts in WWE with the way that their tag teams are presented? Like, we just had this big gauntlet, and I'm like, I haven't seen any of these people in a while, you know?
Well, maybe they'll do more tag team wrestling, which sort of prompts you to ask, with SmackDown being as loaded as it is with great, talented, highly skilled wrestlers, is there just too much going on for everything to be on one show?
Yeah.
Between the women's division being red hot.
Yes.
The men's, I mean, Cody Rhodes is on this program, so the men's division is hot. Cody Rhodes and the Bloodline are on SmackDown. The women's division is red hot. The tag team belts are now split up, so you're going to have tag team belts on the men's side defended here. You could see women's tag belts. I think, are there women's tag belts on each program now, or is there still one? Because we saw a little of that tonight as well.
Yeah, I think it's just
one. And there's one second-tier men's belt singles on this program as well, the U.S. tag belt. What do you want to talk about next that they talked about here? Women's tag belt, U.S. title?
U.S. title, let's do it.
U.S. title. This show kicks off with the Bloodline getting Nick Aldis to replace Tonga Loa in their tag team, which allowed them to get into the gauntlet eventually. And then we cut right away to something that I thought was really cool. They do they have a camera following LA Knight as he's walking through the backstage area, and he's just cutting a promo. It's not really an interview because no one else walked up to him to ask him questions. It's just LA Knight cutting a promo, and as he's doing it, he's just walking closer to Gorilla, and finally he gets to Gorilla and says, "Hit the music," and he appears out there at the entrance ramp and goes right out for a match that starts at 8:08. They're less than 10 minutes into this program, and LA Knight and Santos Escobar have the bell rung for their match. This was pretty cool. They wind up going 9 minutes. LA Knight hits the blunt force trauma. This match had a little bit of interference from Elektra Lopez on the outside, who was there accompanying Santos Escobar. And then a little later, Logan Paul runs down for some interference there. He looks like he's going to try that one lucky punch on LA Knight as he's up on the apron. LA Knight ducks it and winds up clotheslining him off the apron, and then he's able to hit the finishing sequence with Santos Escobar. But then Logan Paul just jumps in post-match and beats up LA Knight, gets some help from Santos Escobar, hits the big splash. So now here it is. Your final image is Logan Paul standing tall over the babyface in your sort of go-home show towards SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like they still want the babyface to be fighting from underneath, heading into the big premium live event. And what do you think of that tactic? And what do you think of the surprise appearance by Logan Paul?
I think it's good. I'm really excited for the Logan Paul LA Knight match more than any other match on that card.
Right, I'm almost there with you. Like I want to see this.
Yeah, and boy, you really got to give WWE and Triple H and Logan Paul, all three of them collectively, a lot of credit for making him a champion of a belt that's a lower level belt, but making it feel really big. Mm-hmm. He's been really good at, he's been exceptional on the mic and good in the ring, and I'm pretty happy with the direction he's headed in. And I hate to say it because I do not like him as a person, but it is what it is, right?
He's trying to be the unlikable heel. It's also weird because he comes running out today wearing kind of baggy-ish pants and a sleeveless undershirt. Like he was surprised that he left the house today. It's like, no, everybody else in street clothes looks like they're in street clothes. Logan Paul looks like he's surprised that he's out of his house. Like, what? I'm not at my house? No, You're not at your house. You're at work.
Yeah.
You're wearing, sweats and the poorly named wife beater.
Yes, he looks sloppy, right?
I mean that's how you left the house today, really?
He looks like he's dressed like Foley back in the day, but he's not that. It's a weird style for sure. I think it's kind of trending in that direction a little bit with the Gen Z kids. So, his target audience is like 12 years old too. So maybe that's how the
12-year-olds who don't need energy drinks but drink them anyway.
Right. Yes.
Yes, his target audience are the people that South Park pretends they are.
Right.
So other than Logan Paul showing up looking like he was surprised that he's left the house this morning, I thought that segment went pretty well. All the way around. LA Knight gets the pinfall. It's about a 9-minute match. So that was fun. They looked pretty good. It wasn't a great match even for TV, but it was all right. I'm not going to complain about seeing LA Knight on my TV screen. It was good. Let's see here. We had we could go women's tag team next. Mm-hmm. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill were in the ring, calling out Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, whose music hits. And then they do the old thing where their music hits, and both people in the ring stupidly walk all the way over to the ringside closest to the entrance and look up the entrance and start going, come on down and fight us. And then, of course, the two jump out of the crowd and hit them from behind. But the baby faces get the upper hand here.
Mm-hmm.
In high heels, no less.
Right.
So they came out to the ring dressed in street clothes.
Yeah.
They were wearing their high heels. Women were wearing their high heels and their glittery frilly things. So they looked like they were not surprised when they left the house. Cough, Logan Paul, cough. And wound up getting the upper hand there, which was impressive. You know, like Bianca Belair is picking Isla Dawn up on her shoulders there for a KOD into high heels, which has to be difficult.
Yes, seriously.
Says the person who's never worn high heels. But I just imagine that trying to balance on your toes while you do that.
It's hard enough without the heels, let
Right.
alone with the heels. It's got to be a certain aspect to it.
So that was fun. And it looks like those teams are going to clash soon, and they did announce it. I think they said for the SmackDown right before SummerSlam.
Nick, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Hang on.
Hey, welcome to the live stream. Fantastic. Tell us what you thought of some of these segments here where they were trying to get these belts on TV, even though the belts weren't being defended on TV. Do you think they're doing a good job of building excitement for either SummerSlam, or it looks like this women's tag match is for the night before SummerSlam? Tell us in the chat if you're live. Tell us in the comments if you're watching on YouTube on the archived live stream here for Don't Bury the Lead. What do you think of how the WWE tries to do this every big premium live event? They try to showcase the belts on their SmackDowns and Raws right before it. Do you think this is doing a good job of building excitement here, or do you think these are becoming almost throwaway segments that you'd rather not see on TV and just give me another really good match?
Yeah.
Tell us in the chat. Tell us in the comment what you think there.
All right. So we're talking Logan Paul, and I guess we're moved on here.
Two other segments. Andrade's being interviewed backstage. I was really interested in this because I remember you telling me that in AEW he didn't cut promos because he really didn't speak English.
Yeah.
They let him speak a little bit of English here.
How was it? I'm curious.
His English was okay. It was the kind of thing that maybe he could have just memorized, because he only got like one sentence out before Carmelo Hayes showed up and was like talking about how Carmelo Hayes deserves another shot at a match with Andrade. And then Andrade just kind of agrees to it. So they're getting one more match together. Looks
Nice.
like WWE Creative likes the chemistry with these two guys. You just said nice. Do you like the chemistry between these two guys? Do you want to see them wrestle again?
I liked their match last week or 2 weeks ago. I forget when it was, but I really liked their match that they had. And it was something where Andrade was over as a face, and Carmelo was good. I'm pulling for Carmelo a little bit here because I know he was brought up, and I want to see him do well. So
what did you think of their showdown in Money in the Bank ladder match? In the men's Money in the Bank, I think that's where this really got solidified, that these two guys have good chemistry.
You know
I
what?
think their really good performance there led to them having a couple of run-ins on SmackDown following.
Ooh, we have a prediction in the comments. You mind if I pull this up?
Hey, here we go. Lay it on us. Don't bury the lead, Nick. What do you got? Logan Paul retains since Braun Breaker is winning the IC from Sami Zayn. I don't think both mid-card belts change at a SummerSlam. All right, so you're making like a two-level prediction here. On one level, you think it's time for Braun to win. So based on that, you're abstracting another level here. You don't think they'll switch both B-level men's belts. All right, what do you think of that strategy there?
Ooh.
Andrade needs to be a heel. He's not a good face at all. Now, is that because of his inability to really hang on the mic? Because we've seen people who can't talk very well given heel status. Io Sky in Damage Control. Kairi Sane with her Asuka. They get heel treatment so they don't have to cut a lot of promos. They could just give like an angry, nasty facial expression and a growl and maybe a catchphrase they've memorized, and then just do their antics. So is it part of that Andrade isn't good yet on the mic? Gunther, before he was decent on the mic, real easy to make him a heel.
Yeah, so I think
that's the program. What do you think there?
I think it's actually kind of a good idea, Nick. He's probably the most known person on the in the LWO. They have like a lot of guys that kind of have been floating around in WWE, but Andrade was in WWE for a while. I actually think that wouldn't be a terrible idea. And then back to your other point, about the titles changing, I agree that one of the two, both aren't getting switched. I wonder, yeah, because if you have Braun Breaker, it seems like he'll knock off Sami Zayn. Then would you have? I don't see LA Knight losing though. It's weird. Like, what would happen? Would LA Knight lose clean? He's just. It feels like he's just so hot. Yeah. I just wouldn't want to see him. I don't know. Maybe.
And did the belt switch on the women's side? Rhea Ripley's back. This is now Rhea Ripley's sort of revenge tour, following up Liv Morgan's revenge tour.
Yeah, one more message that came through.
There you go.
This is about Andrade.
It's easier to be a heel when you're effective in the ring. That's an interesting theory, that maybe guys who aren't real great in the ring yet get the babyface treatment. Okay, that's interesting. There is a different way of wrestling when you're a heel versus a babyface. Some of the tactics you use, the way you jaw at the crowd rather than try and get them pumped up. So, okay, I wonder if Andrade could do that, because I think he's positioned right now in a place that's really good for him. If he's still learning English and still learning how to play to the crowd, I think he's good as a babyface that people seem to like. And maybe it's just that people have taken to him as a babyface. If everybody booed him when he showed up, then I think they would have just went with it and said, okay, he's a heel. But I think the fans cheering him, I wonder if there's a lot of people who remember him from his earlier run, or if they remember his stint in AEW and like him from there. Maybe there's some people who read the behind the scenes and the quote unquote dirt sheets and know that he's Charlotte Flair's husband. And like, oh, look, Charlotte Flair's husband is here now. All right. So whatever it was, he got a babyface reception. And I wonder if it's just too difficult to switch a guy clean unless you have a definite persona that you have in mind for him and that you're confident he can execute. So I don't know if it's as easy as just saying for a lot of these guys who are still raw in their persona abilities, just switch them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that can happen as cleanly as we might think it was when we fantasy book it.
For sure, as far as heels are concerned, there's a lot of pressure on them to be good, right? Like at the end of the day, the heel they have to be good. Whereas the faces, they're not so reliant on them. It's like the heel has so much more flexibility that they have to be good at being a pro wrestler in general as a character. Whereas a face, you could just maybe have someone be a little bit more stiff, and then you could let the other person that's got all the personality and characteristics, as a heel, carry the program. I got one more coming through.
Hey, unless you keep a main event title on one of the men's, then maybe you can have two mid-card switch. Okay, so many belts are up here at SummerSlam.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Like, aren't all the men's belts up for grabs at SummerSlam? plus both women's belts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at least 6 belts.
SummerSlam's not 2 nights, right?
No.
Okay, not this year. But
It's probably going to be. They may do another 7 p.m. East Coast start, and maybe go 4 hours until 11. Maybe try and cram 7 or 8 matches in there.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I think
SummerSlam will not get the other pay-per-view treatments where it's 5 matches and you're done.
Yeah, it's one of their big pay-per-views. It's their second.
I could see SummerSlam getting 7 or maybe 8.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and with all those matches, yes, yeah. You know, Nick, I do the same thing when I watch pay-per-views. Like last year at Elimination Chamber in Montreal, I started keeping track of how many Canadians were winning going into the Sami Zayn Roman Reigns match. Because if all the Canadians won, I was like, oh, Sammy's going to lose. He's going to lose badly. So I was keeping track of, like, I do that. I do the same thing. Like, they can't have all of the fill in the blanks go the same direction.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? It's a
like different... they can't have all the baby faces win, or all the heels win, or all the belts switch, or all the belts retain. Like, there's got to be a variety across both of those axes: heel, face, and champ, challenger. Right?
Yeah, I like this. Thank you so much, Nick, for the contributions. That helps us kind of like get some content here, and it's good to hear that you're really into WWE like we are. So, thanks for the messages.
It also helps us fill out a SmackDown recap when they only gave us 3 real matches.
This is true.
Because one of the matches technically was 6 matches in one, like 5 or 6 matches in one. But very good. Yes, thank you. There was one other segment here. Speaking of things that you could have just cut from the program and not seen at all.
Thanks so much, Nick.
Grayson Waller. Oh, here we go. Another one. What do we got?
Sending the invite to come over to my YouTube channel and join Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour sometime soon. 100% will check out your channel.
Happy Hour. Is it beverage optional, Nick, or should we bring the bubbly or whatever we have there that we're imbibing in?
Yeah, I think I got PBRs in the fridge. I can hop on over.
There we go.
But I'll let you know. I'll definitely check out your channel, Nick. And really
excellent. Hey, let's get a plug there to everybody watching. Don't bury the lead. Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. Let's do that.
Yeah. Feel free to shoot, if you could put a link to in the comments, and then I'll definitely come over and I'll definitely subscribe to your channel, and we'll keep up with you. So appreciate it, man.
Good.
Sorry, I cut you off, Dom, but I wanted to.
No problem. They should have cut off this segment. It was Grayson Waller and Austin Theory in the ring, calling out someone who's not involved in WWE, Terrence Crawford, the boxer person who gave a chair to someone last week for helping Cody Rhodes last week by handing him a chair. Waller taunts Crawford, says Theory is going to knock him out. So Crawford floors Austin Theory. So once again, Grayson Waller is kind of throwing Austin Theory under the bus there. This segment did not have to be here. So this makes me think that the Gauntlet match, the tag team Gauntlet match, did not run too long, because if they still had time for this, they weren't crunched for time.
This is true.
So
yeah.
At least there were not fake plants and a TV set.
Yes.
They just let them go out to the ring, do their goofball heel thing, have Terrence Crawford punch one of them. There you go. That's all I got for this show here. Was there anything else you wanted to mention, John, from our show here today, or did we cover it?
I think we covered it. And you know what, Dom? Is it drive time?
Yeah, it is. That when we've done covering this show that we're recapping here, it's time to put a bow on it, isn't it? It's time to head on there to the thumb drive where you and I are going to distill this entire program into a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no thumbs in the middle. There are no ties. There are also no star ratings, no letter grades, no number grades. You're taking this course, pass, fail.
Dom, we don't do star ratings. We're not Dave Meltzer. We're not doing 7 stars in the Tokyo Dome. WWE's in Japan. You know there's just 5 stars flying out there this week for all the stuff that's happening in Japan. But we're not a star rating, show. We do a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So ready?
I am ready.
3, 2, 1. Oh, 2
Good
thumbs
show.
up for this
Good show. I
SmackDown.
like the tag team gauntlet. And both of the other matches were above average for TV.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I liked the main event. The tag team match was cool. I think the women's division is so freaking hot right now that you have Nia Jax, who's good, who's much improved. Tiffany Stratton impresses every week. She looks like a complete veteran. And then Bayley and Michin's a good little workhorse out there that takes losses, but she puts on entertaining matches.
All 4 people in that match we like, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a pretty good SmackDown. Looking forward to SummerSlam. It's set up really well. Yep. Triple H is cooking a little bit. He's been getting a lot of praise, and I do have to say, I'm looking forward to SummerSlam. So they did a good job.
Wrestling is hot. A good time.
Yeah, squeeze in some of these matches here. So, here's the thing. We're headed towards SummerSlam here, and the summer is pretty hot, right, Tom? It's been
the summer
hot.
can be a little warm. And now that you can watch premium live events with your Peacock subscription, it can also be very inexpensive for you.
That's right.
It's time for Cheap Heat.
Cheap Heat is where we talk about trending topics in WWE, AEW, and beyond. So we we'll talk about these trending topics during Cheap Heat. We'll make shorter videos of them. And now we're releasing this as a full video, and it's done pretty well. This is kind of the backbone of what we've created our content off of. I'll make shorter videos, and because they're trending topics, they get pushed to people a lot more than other topics. It's been a really great way to get our channel recognized out there. We just hit 350,000 views, which is pretty crazy to think. When we started the show, we were getting like 1 view, 3 views. So 350,000 views is really great. And there's 700 plus subscribers. So thank you to everyone that subscribed, watched any video, even commented and said that they hate the stuff. It's like, whatever. Yeah.
One of our best videos out there that I really enjoyed was us talking about the Cody Rhodes title reign and whether we liked the persona that he was taking early on in his reign. We got a lot of thumbs down on the video, but that's great. I love when people engage with us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, disagree with us and let us know. But
and we've had videos where people are hitting us in the comments and going, I can't believe you guys don't know this. Right. Or you haven't heard of this guy before. It's like, yeah, tell us.
Yeah.
Educate us. Bring it. Bring it and bring it cheap and bring it hot. Just don't bring it so that it would get a YouTube strike. So keep it YouTube appropriate on YouTube, but bring it cheap and bring it hot. Bring it like Logan Paul's outfit.
Cheap.
Bring your baggy cargo pants and your sleeveless undershirt. As if you were very surprised to be leaving your house today.
All right, Dom, let's jump into it. We got the first thing. So this is Cheap Heat here. Do you want to take it away here with our first topic?
What cheaper and perhaps heatier topic this week than Drew McIntyre posting a photo with Jack Perry of AEW on his Twitter. This set the wrestling world abuzz. This comes to us from Coming Soon. A lot of other channels and wrestling news sites had this. Coming Soon I like because not only did they go through this, but they also linked to some people on X who managed to save this tweet because it was deleted rather quickly. This is the tweet, a screenshot of Drew's coming to us from Air Gold. Why did Drew McIntyre delete the picture? A, because he trolled and made his point. B, WWE asked him to. C, CM Punk saw the picture, got mad, and snitched. We don't think it's C because reports are that Drew McIntyre and CM Punk are working together on all of these social media things. So they're both in on it. I wonder if he deleted it because it was supposed to just be a troll and get extra buzz like this, where he's not really trolling CM Punk. He's trolling the wrestling news sites.
Yeah, right.
He got you. I
can't believe they actually posted a photo with an AEW wrestler, and like, does Tony know they're doing this? I guess they do. They let them do whatever they want in AEW. And is it another thing where, like, you would have never really seen this in WWE before, especially in the Vince era when they were very, very, very competitive with everyone else? Maybe sometimes they're kind of letting them. Maybe they're lowering the level of competition, let's say, right now, so it's not so feverish. And they're like, yeah, let's work together on this angle here. So I think
social
surprised.
Media gives and maybe I'll ask this question to you then. Does social media change how these wrestlers, especially, and by default, the wrestling promotions have to engage with one another? Because you'd never see this during the Monday Night Wars.
Yes.
Because there was no social media during the Monday Night Wars.
Right.
It's not like they brought Jack Perry onto WWE programming. It's a WWE employee and an AEW employee sharing something on social media. So is this good use of social media?
Oh, for sure. This only adds intrigue to the match. I think it's a cool thing that they're letting them do, and I think it's great. Drew McIntyre is on fire. It is interesting because it almost feels like Drew's the face here. So
to us, we don't like CM Punk.
But I think we're probably more than just us, I think, out there. Because he's been, like, funny and callous, and he's on that spectrum of a cool heel at this point right now, Drew McIntyre, versus just like Nia Jax, where you're just like, nah, she's just a heel, right?
And I think that's because Drew has been a babyface at times past. And so there is a nostalgia factor as well. I think he's doing his best to stay heel and abrasive. On the other hand, CM Punk is not universally loved.
No.
So the guy who's opposing CM Punk isn't going to be universally hated.
Right.
They've got themselves a good old-fashioned tweener feud here.
Oh, yeah, this is an old-fashioned tweener feud, which is really more new fashion, if you will.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of tweeners these days, but yeah.
The biggest babyface in their match is the special guest referee, Seth Rollins.
Right.
So here we got Drew and CM Punk. They seem to be working together on this. So let's go through these. Why did Drew McIntyre delete his picture? I'm going to go with D, none of the above.
Ooh.
Punk did not snitch on him. I don't think WWE asked him to. I don't think he trolled CM Punk and made his point. If you want to change A to B, he trolled the wrestling media and made his point. Then yes, I'll select A. But he did not do this to troll Punk. He and Punk are working together.
You know what's weird? I wonder if Jack Perry and CM Punk are hush-hush, wink-wink, kind of friendly with each other on this whole venture.
Maybe now, yeah.
Like, and I'll just say this from I think anybody could probably say this from their experience, but in locker rooms, like, stuff like that happens. It's never really that big of a deal. And you still like what the fight was. It was like pretty much a shoving match, and then they broke them up. But I wonder if they're both on good terms. Hey, I lost my cool, no big deal. Okay, let's make some money off this, right? So
it happens in sports, right? Some guys get into it on the practice field.
Yeah, you see it in training camp in the
Gets a little
NFL.
chippy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just gets chippy. That's all. So it's part of being in the locker room, being an athlete. So at the end of the day, maybe right now they're just making money off of this rivalry, and they're tricking all the marks. They're tricking the us. We are the marks, by the way.
Another answer here.
Mhm.
Did Jack Perry get heat for this? And maybe he went to Drew and said, "Hey, man, I know it seemed like a good idea and I thought it would be great, but I'm getting some heat."
It's tough to tell with Tony because the rules don't seem to be consistent sometimes. Whereas, and I think that maybe it's a really gray area. I mean, if you're Tony, you probably like stuff like this because you're really making it clear that Jack Perry is a star, and everyone knows about this, and everyone knows right away what that means, right? And then people that don't know are now hearing about it. So I think if you're Tony Khan, you're saying, hey, I think recently Tony Khan said AEW is for the sickos. So he's probably into this stuff.
Well, it's a real photo. Cry us a river. Back to someone who we've mentioned already. Here's Logan Paul at his brother Jake's boxing match over the weekend. And somebody caught up with him backstage. Fred Talks Fighting caught up with him backstage for a brief interview in which they started talking boxing and WWE. I'm not going to play this because I wonder if if the algorithm will just get us a strike. I'll just mention, go to Fred Talks Fighting if you want the scoop here. But I will tell you that Logan Paul was asked about the WWE and said, and whether he'd get back into boxing. And he said he would have to have a really good opponent and be excited about it, get back into boxing. And as far as wrestling goes, he says, and I got a good thing going in the WWE. I'm the United States champion, and I'm much better at wrestling than I am at boxing. So here's Logan Paul out of a WWE event, backstage, really in a boxing environment. He's putting over WWE, putting over wrestling, putting over himself as a wrestler, and has commitment. There was a time not too long ago where we wondered if Logan Paul was taking this seriously. What say you here? Does it seem like Logan Paul's taking this seriously?
I would say this. You can play the video because it's just an interview. This won't get striked. Okay. So you can play the video because I think it gives a little context of what I'm going to say about the interview.
Fantastic. Go for it. Here we are. Here's Logan Paul.
One, I think, yeah, he definitely is taking pro wrestling seriously, and it's been kind of a home run for the WWE. As much as I don't like the guy, and as a real person, he is kind of made for pro wrestling. And so that's the first point about Logan Paul and how he is taking it seriously. Second point, he is pretty trashed in this interview. He's like sweating, he's moving around, he's fidgety, his eyes are just so bloodshot. He looks like he was hanging out with Tony Khan. He just is. So that's the second thing I noticed about the interview is that he's pretty out of it.
I'm thinking it may have been intense ringside or even in the luxury box, wherever he was. These arenas can get kind of hot. He may have been legitimately sweating. It is the summertime. His eyes, it looks like the cameras are giving him red pupils.
Yeah.
Which happens sometimes in photographs. He is wearing he's got his button-down shirt open, revealing what is probably another sleeveless undershirt there. So he looks like he meant to leave the house.
Yeah, he looks high as a Georgia pine tree too. I'm just gonna say it. So
I think he's had too many energy drinks at this point, maybe.
Yeah, did he just like pound too many prime energies and that's just how he acts? Or did he snort a couple lines of Adderall?
Honestly, I look like this a lot of the time too. I'm like this on Don't Bury the Lead, except hopefully I'm not sweating that much.
Right. I hear you.
So yeah, go catch Fred Talks Fighting for this backstage interview with Logan Paul. And good to see. Yeah, we like the fact that Logan Paul seems to have committed to wrestling. He is good at it. He's got the personality for it. He seems to be really soaking in his heel run. And we'll see what happens in Cleveland coming up August 3rd for SummerSlam. Let's get into other wrestlers and some wrestlers who may or may not be on the move. This comes to us from WrestleZone. Bryan Danielson, who, John, you have called, if not the best wrestler in the world, one of them. Bryan Danielson confirms his AEW wrestling contract expires on August 1st. Now, in this same story here, apparently this came from an interview on AEW Dynamite. He also says that he still wants to go to AEW's All In at Wembley Stadium, which takes place towards the end of August, right? It's Sunday, the 25th of August. So his contract is supposedly expiring August 1st, but he's making plans for an August 25th AEW show. Is this Bryan Danielson kayfabing it here? Or is he shooting and trying to let us know that his full-time wrestler contract really is going to expire, and so that any work he does with AEW will be on a much more limited basis afterwards? You watch AEW. Did you see this segment on Dynamite? And whether or not you did, what do you make of this comment and what they're trying to do here with Bryan Danielson, whom you have called one of the best wrestlers in the world?
Yeah, for sure. He is. Interesting. I wonder if it's a work. I wonder if it's a shoot. I would imagine that I know he is headed toward, he has been public about slowing down.
Yes.
But he's already retired once.
Yeah.
He retired once at WWE, if you remember. And he said he was done and he had neck injury. And then he's just back working his ass off now. So I wonder if he really is or not. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. He does have a title match against Swerve Strickland at All In London. If I would like to see, it would be awesome if he dropped the title and gave it to Bryan, because he's just Bryan Danielson, because he's been so great. And it would be cool to have him have one more run with the Strat. I don't think anybody would be like, oh man, you're killing Swerve here. He's had it for 6 months. It's their biggest show. Like, pop the belt over to Bryan Danielson. I think everyone's going to be cheering for him, right? So
AEW doesn't do extremely long runs anyway. Like MJF holding it for more than a year was an exception, right?
Yeah, well, not as long as WWE, but WWE was also shattering records with, they had Roman Reigns a champion for years and years and years. And Gunther was over a year.
Yep.
They've done some they're usually, like, from my perspective, outside of Samoa Joe knocking off MJF, which was a huge shocker, they do very predictable championship bookings. Like, what's going to happen when it's going to happen. With this one, it feels like, Swerve would win, but I would be pulling for Bryan Danielson because he's fantastic. Okay,
very good. We mentioned the Street Profits. It looked like they were having a good thing going with the Pride with Bobby Lashley, and then they added BFAB. Also from WrestleZone, Bobby Lashley, an MVP, still under WWE contract, but expected to leave. This has been interesting here. It also affects probably Omos, who we haven't seen for a while. He had been under the tutelage of MVP. So Bobby Lashley, MVP, and also Tamina may be on the way out. Mike Johnson of PW Insider still had some of this. MVP seemed to be confirming this on social media. Dave Meltzer also had, saying that WWE is under the assumption that the pair will leave and try to reform the Hurt business elsewhere. Would you like to see the Hurt business come back on AEW? If you watch AEW, TNA, if you watch TNA, hit us up in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this on the archive show. What say you? What do you think?
With Bobby Lashley, I was like kind of shocked when I saw this.
Okay.
And this isn't me talking, this is the internet rumbling, but they're like, Bobby Lashley was pretty over.
Yep.
And then he got buried.
Yeah.
And the Street Profits were pretty over. And then they got buried. And this is the internet, not me. But they're like, Triple H's new era has not been favorable to African Americans. This is the first time I have heard some heat for Triple H for like anything about his booking. I don't necessarily agree, but it is a little fishy. I wonder if the Street Profits will get a push as a result of that. You know, basically, I wonder if the Street Profits get a push as a result of people saying that. I also think, just from Bobby Lashley's standpoint, I don't say this often because I think AEW's roster is loaded. I could see Bobby Lashley being valuable at AEW. He's a veteran presence. I think he's still popular. When he comes out to his theme songs, like, people are like cheering for him actively, even though they can't even turn him heel because people like him too much. And I think he's actually a bit wasted on WWE's roster. I think he'd be useful in AEW, so hopefully we see him there.
Triple H apparently said no to the Hurt Business getting back together in WWE, and this may have been what led to this. That these guys, their contracts were expiring. They thought, we're not going to be used pretty well here. Maybe we got to think about greener pastures from our standpoint.
I mean, I know for sure Bobby Lashley would be valuable. I'm not so sure about MVP unless he'd be like a manager for Bobby Lashley, if that's what he's looking for. But yeah, so I think Bobby Lashley would be valuable in AEW is what I'm.
I was enjoying Bobby Lashley's run here in the WWE.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they cooled him off so much, but.
All right, other people perhaps switching promotions. The Motor City Machine Guns. That's Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. It's still kept very quiet and relatively close to the vest, but the feeling many have in wrestling is the Motor City Machine Guns are going to the WWE. Alex Shelley was at a live event at West Coast Pro and said, spoiler alert, I might not come back here. This was recent, within the week. So the idea that these guys are going to be signing somewhere that will not allow them to do these kind of independent house shows anymore, that would be WWE, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
so it looks like they're going there. These guys they've been around a long time. This is the kind of tag team where if they showed up more in their prime, I think they'd be fantastic in the WWE. I still wonder how much they have left and if they can do it. If the WWE wants them, then hey, take your shot.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is also, if they do wind up getting signed, this is a signal that splitting the men's tag team belts was a good idea, because you got to have something for these tag teams to do.
Hey, yeah, no, it's a great point. They might be looking around and saying, hey, we have 4 tag belts. We need some guys that can tag, or we need people from NXT to come up with combo with people that are already good, right? So
yep.
You don't want to force a bunch of people up from NXT that aren't ready, and then they flop. That's never good. So, yeah.
Right. Just because they're in NXT just because you played AAA baseball doesn't mean you're ready to star in the majors.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, all right, one more. Jinder Mahal is taking independent dates. He's on tour right now, and he posted this to his X account. And I want to draw your attention to something here. August 2nd and 3rd, he will be at WrestleCon in Cleveland, Ohio. Is anything else happening in Cleveland, Ohio? on Friday, August 2nd and Saturday, August 3rd.
SummerSlam?
Jinder Mahal is going to be at WrestleCon, which is going to be right there in the shadow of SummerSlam. Very cool booking here by Jinder Mahal. Looks like he's getting around. He'll be at Triple Mania in Mexico City later that week. He's heading other dates within the States and even heading out to Ontario. So good for him. He still has some name recognition.
For sure.
Hopefully he can still go in the ring and wrestle and not just be kind of an attraction, taking photos and signing autographs. If he wants to still wrestle, then I hope he's still able to. So good for him. But I just thought this was really neat. I saw that date and I went, August 2nd and 3rd, Cleveland, Ohio. That's SummerSlam. What a neat little reunion for Jinder Mahal here. The Maharaja. Raj Desi is what he's going on now. So good for him. Let's get to some debuts. And from AEW. It's MJF debuting a new championship belt. He's retiring the International Championship, which he threw in the trash. Named himself the new AEW American Champion. Getting a little Star-Spangled Banner-ish here. Cheap pop patriotism here, although he still managed to do it as a heel. What do you think of this belt switch here?
I think it makes sense because they're going to be in the UK, so they get the cheap pop there. They don't have a U.S. title, and they just call this one the International title, which isn't a great name. I like the look of the belt for sure. It's like really big and gaudy, which I like. So from my perspective, it's a good move, and the promo was great.
There goes the belt.
He threw in the trash.
Shades of Alondra Blades, Medusa doing that. To the women's belt. There it is. You said you like the look of the belt. There's the gold belt. We're just going to freeze frame it here. We're not playing your content, AEW. Don't strike us.
Right.
I was just trying to toggle through and find where he showed the new belt.
Yeah.
So there's the new belt. Okay, it's the American Championship.
And I'll tell you what. The American Championship looks good, and the promo was hilarious. I'm really glad that he's a heel again, because as a face, it was just, he can do it. He has the charisma. He can go either way. People love him, but he's just so good at being a heel. He's so much better.
We want the MJF that gets punched by a 7-year-old girl and gives her the finger.
Yeah.
There's a little cheap heat for us.
I just wish he did a little better on YouTube when I make videos about him, because
there you go. Go check out our cheap heat from last week and the shorts and edited video that John that you made there for us. Check out MJF and Will Ospreay fighting through the crowd, and MJF getting punched by a 7-year-old girl who he appropriately no-sells, and then equally appropriately gives the middle finger to.
Right.
Another big debut, this time of a wrestler. It's Camille standing tall next to Mercedes Moné. Their beatdown of Britt Baker DMD here. This was pretty cool. You could see they're standing over Britt Baker there, and a little later, Mercedes Moné gave a little backstage of herself where there's Camille. There's the two of them. They're together. They're a team now.
Yeah.
Maybe Camille is just her muscle for the moment, which is kind of how she started.
Yeah, you're pretty high on Camille. We talked about her before.
Camille started as Nick Aldis's muscle in the NWA to counter Brandy Rhodes, right? That was Cody Rhodes' wife.
Yeah.
Camille came out as Nick Aldis's muscle to equalize Brandy Rhodes. And then after Nick Aldis had the belt, Camille remained as his muscle along with other people. So like she was the muscle in case any female wrestlers needed to get involved at all. So there was Camille, although they did let her spear Tim Storm at one point. So she was a legit athlete in college softball player, legit 5'10", and decent weight. So think of someone who's a little bigger than Rhea Ripley. That's Camille. She held the NWA Women's title for 800 and something days, set a record before dropping the belt. And whether she's Mercedes Moné's muscle or if she's going to do more wrestling or maybe even be a tag partner occasionally, I like this. I like that Camille's back on TV for a major wrestling promotion and getting a chance here. You watch AEW. What do you think of Camille's arrival? Was this a big deal when you saw it, if you saw it?
I will admit, I was like, I think I know this person because they premiered her like she was a big deal. And I was like, oh, is she on their roster? And I was like, no, she's not. Oh, okay. I remember her from Me and You doing it. Mm-hmm. I don't get the impression that the crowd really knew who she was. Like they didn't really necessarily go that crazy. She looks a little different than she did in TNA. Like I think she had blonde hair in TNA or something.
The hair's a little darker and it's kind of like spiked and pulled up. She had more of the ponytail in NWA, which she has now, but it is darker.
But I mean, good for her. She's getting a recognition from the NWA. It's a huge jump up to get to AEW. I can see the AEW. They're trying to focus a little more on the women's wrestling, probably trying to mimic a little bit of what WWE did. I mean, they paid a boatload of money for Mercedes Moné. I mean, a lot of money for Mercedes Moné. So they're probably like, yeah, we got to get some people in here that she can come beat, right?
If they want women's wrestlers who can really wrestle, then this picture here of Britt Baker, Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks, and Camille, I mean, just that picture alone tells you that there could be some really good in-ring pro wrestling in AEW from the women's division, right? So this good sign for you if you're a fan of really good women's wrestling.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, very good. Let's move over to AEW and maybe a debut. Sting's son, Stephen Borden, being trained by Darby Allin. This comes to us from WrestleZone. Darby Allin talks about it sort of coming full circle here because, Sting kind of helped him. It's like a full circle moment for sure because he's done a lot for me. And if I could do something for his son, let's go. Looks like at least one of Sting's sons, Stephen Borden, who was the one dressed as Wolfpack Sting, right here. His other son, who I forget his name, Garrett, I believe, Garrett Borden, who has the YouTube channel where he does some video game
breakdowns. Yeah, no, he has a lot of subscribers. He does what we do. He's a YouTuber.
He's a YouTuber. There you go. But Steven, who may be the younger of the two and who impressed very much. Some might even go as far to say his stinger splash in the ring look even better than his father's. Yes, Stephen Borden looked like a young Steve Borden.
Yeah.
When he was doing those. So this is interesting to me that he kind of got the itch.
Right.
And now Darby Allin's training him. So they're not just throwing him out there onto TV, even though he's got a big name and could do it. Like Darby's trying to train him so that he's at least somewhat ready when he gets out there. What say you about this?
Oh, this is interesting. I do have a hot take.
Go.
I do have a hot take.
Is it also cheap?
This is pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Darby Allin training someone I'm not so sure I'd want to get trained by him because all he does is the crazy, wacky high spots. And he's not really like a good technical wrestler.
Yes.
So, like, what is he training on what to do? Like, oh, here's how you jump off a ladder through a glass table and have blood everywhere. Like, what's he going to show him? Like, and if your dad's Sting, wouldn't you have Sting show you around?
Yeah, right.
Like, isn't he the guy? But maybe it's one of these things where Darby can give him is part of the training, right? He probably can get anybody he wants to train him. So maybe Darby's part of the training. He shows him some of his wacky stuff he does as far as like dives and everything.
If he wants to be that kind of wrestler, Darby may also be. Did Darby train Nick Wayne, or was that just totally a work?
No, his dad, Nick Wayne's dad, trained him, Buddy Wayne.
Okay.
So that might have been, but Buddy Wayne trained, Buddy Wayne trained Darby Allin.
Okay, that's where I got
That's
the connection confused. Okay.
Yeah. Buddy Wayne also trained Brian Alvarez, who's on that Dave Meltzer podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's an old indie wrestler, Brian Alvarez.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So we wonder how much technical wrestling Darby Allin will be able to show the younger Borden here.
Yep.
But intriguing nonetheless. So that may be a debut to look forward to there for, and I imagine it'll be in AEW since Darby's doing it.
Yeah.
So very good. Let's get to some other wrestlers out of the ring. Paul White, the Big Show.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he's got both knees and both hips. Had surgery on replacements.
Ooh,
and
brutal.
He's trying to work himself into shape here, into some muscle and movement shape here. This is from Paul White's Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Some other things of him training here. Here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
This is from a week ago. He's trying to get back into shape. Not just Badass Billy Gunn is there as well.
Yeah.
So it's I love the shirt here. To-do list, your mom. So keeping it real there at the gym, whoever these guys are. So the Big Show. This is interesting. These guys take a lot of punishment in their careers, and you wonder, they get to around 50 years old, and they're like, "Oh, my body's broken. Can I get some sort of quality of life?"
Yeah.
And maybe, I hope this works for him. Do you think Paul White is aiming for some sort of in-ring return? If he is, would you like to see that in AEW?
He might be another guy where you're looking at weaknesses for AEW is like, leadership and stuff like that, and teaching, bringing the guys along. So if he goes out there and he like jobs for some people, yeah. I think he's a bigger star than Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff Jarrett's all over that program. So
okay,
I'd rather see Paul White than Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett's got to get off the screen. It's too much. I just have to say that. How about you guys in the comments or people that are watching now? Would you want to see Paul White in AEW, or are you saying I don't even watch AEW? Let us know, because we have a couple people on from Twitch and a couple people on from YouTube. But yeah.
Excellent. Let's move on. Tyrus, since we talked a little bit about NWA here, he also, former wrestler here, he's around 51 years old. He was Brodus Clay in WWE, talking about how he had ballooned up to 498 pounds at one point. In between his WWE runs. Part of the problem was, let's see here if he talks about it. In between his WWE stints, he was working as a bodyguard for Snoop Dogg. Snoop can eat anything he wants. He doesn't gain a pound. So Tyrus was doing that. He was also the smallest guy in the entourage. So as he got up to 498 pounds, it was like, it was just a bunch of bad habits and being around that. He said he left the WWE at 333 pounds. So he gained about 165 pounds in 2 years. He's now trying to get down. He's hoping to get under 300 pounds. He's now 51 years old. He's retired from wrestling. And this is another, a big, big wrestler, a big human being whose body just underwent a lot over the years, especially part of how he treated it in letting his weight go that much. And now, in his older age, he's trying to get some quality of life. So I hope he gets under 300 pounds. I hope he can do this for his own quality of life. This comes to us from Muscle and Fitness magazine here. They had a big interview with him. So head over to muscleandfitness.com if you want to read the interview with Tyrus here. 6 feet, 7 feet tall, real name George Murdoch, 51 years old, and trying not to be one of those sad stories we hear about of wrestlers dying too young. So good for him if he's able to pull it off. Dave Bautista from The Hollywood Reporter here says he tries to sneak his signature WWE finishing move, the Batista Bomb, into every film. Tell us in the chat, tell us in the comments, have you seen a Dave Bautista movie, and does he get the Batista Bomb into the movie? I have no idea. I just thought this was a fun thing to throw in the cheap heat. John, have you ever seen Dave Bautista in a movie? Has he done the Batista Bomb?
No, but he's popular. Like, he does some movies that are pretty good. Trying to think. There was one movie with M. Night Shyamalan that looked like it would be really good, but I think it was like very, very, very M. Night Shyamalan pilled.
Okay.
So, but his character looks interesting in it because I have to say this. His character looks interesting because he wears glasses. He's supposed to be smart. I'm like, interesting. This might actually kind of work for him with all the tattoos and everything.
He says he put it into the fight scene for his latest project, My Spy, The Eternal City. I just wanted to put this move in. We were working on that fight scene, and I was like, oh, man, this would be fun. And now it's kind of become my obsession. I'm trying to squeeze it into every film just because. It's one of those Easter eggs. I think if I can get it into every film, I will. It's just a nod to my career, a nod to the fans. Do you like these kind of things with these wrestlers that go into more kind of action movie acting, that they give something back to their careers that sort of made them famous, and to the fans that maybe have followed them from there? Is this a neat thing to do or not?
I don't really care.
I've never seen one of his movies. I don't know if I have much of an opinion. But that's okay. If you have an opinion out there and don't bury the Leadville land, tell us in the comments. Tell us in the chat.
I would say,
what do you think of this?
I wouldn't care that he always does a power bomb. It's kind of ridiculous, I feel like. What if the movie doesn't require it? He just does it anyway.
Why not? I mean, go back and do one of those M. Night movies there. Throw it into there. And finally, The Undertaker. This comes from
wait, hang on before you go on. He was in a great movie called Stuber, which is a comedy action movie.
Okay.
And it's all about this guy getting an Uber, and during the Uber ride, it turns into an action film. And it's like a comedian and him doing it together, and the comedian is the Uber driver. So it's really good, I have to say. Stuber. So I digress. I have seen one of his movies, and it's good. So I'm sorry. You can go ahead and talk.
Did he Batista bomb anybody in Stuber?
I can't even think of what happened. It was just sort of like a silly, ridiculous movie. So I would imagine yes, because there's a lot of action.
Okay, so it would have fit a silly action movie. Yes. Yeah. Check out Stuber and let us know. The Undertaker reacts to a rumor that he is banned from Vermont. Apparently, he is not banned from Vermont, but I just thought this was funny because anytime I hear something about a wrestler possibly being banned from a large geographical area, I think of Jim Cornette being banned from Canada.
Really?
Late one night, I was going through Jim Cornette videos. This was years ago, and I was about to say, all right, I'm done. I've had enough of this. When I saw out of the corner of my eye, Jim Cornette, the headline, Jim Cornette on why he is banned from Canada.
You want to listen to
Well,
it?
now I have to watch that.
I know, right?
Go ahead. It's on the old Arcadian Vanguard site, which is what they did before they did their Jim Cornette official. But go digging for the old Arcadian Vanguard site, or just search for on YouTube or maybe another video platform as well if it's available. Jim Cornette on why he is banned from Canada. Jim Cornette banned from Canada. Something should pop up from about 7 years ago. Just made me laugh. Whenever I hear about some wrestler getting banned, I'm like, oh, like Jim Cornette was banned from Canada.
Do you know what happened?
Something about, I don't know, something they were bringing across the border. Canadians maybe being a little too nosy. Jim Cornette being a little too impatient with them.
I can imagine that, yes.
Go find out for yourselves Jim Cornette on why he is banned from Canada. I am not going to tell Jim Cornette's story for him because it won't be as good as Jim Cornette. I don't have any barnyard metaphors handy at the moment.
They are all barnyard metaphors, aren't they?
I mean, if you told me to crap a live chicken in the parking lot, I'd do it if it'd get me on TV. And Jim Cornette tells his own story better than I would. So search their Arcadian Vanguard channel, search for Jim Cornette banned from Canada, and you, in 7 minutes and 12 seconds, can get the full story from the man himself. And I just threw up one tab here in Cheap Heat. It's us. Don't Bury the Lead, a wrestling channel. We're up over 700 subscribers. We're up over 350,000 total video views. And we're closing in on 3,000 watch hours. We're getting there, John. Thank you to everybody who's been watching. We couldn't have done it without you. Like, seriously, our first few weeks, it was just us trying to do this. And we didn't have nearly that many views.
It's grown a lot. And we are hitting 350,000 views is a huge milestone for like a small content creator like us. We've been doing it for almost now 2 years. And I think we're going to get some pretty good stuff happening here because we are just a couple watch hours away from applying for monetization through YouTube for their first tier. So that'll be really exciting. I don't know if they'll accept us. I don't know. I'm hoping they accept us. I hope they don't find anything wrong with the content we're creating. The only thing that might throw it off is some of the videos that we have with other videos, and I won't get too into it, but I'll have to kind of clean everything up before we submit. But thank you for everyone for watching these videos. That 350,000 views. Like, if you would have told me and Dom when we started, like, or if I told Dom when we started, like, yeah, I think we'll probably get like 350 views in 2 years, I'd be like, no way. There's no way we'll get those kind of numbers.
I'd be like, wow, I got to watch our stuff a lot.
Right. I mean, especially the first couple of weeks. Honestly, we would make a long form video, a live video. Nobody would watch it. And then we had no comments. And it would have like 3 views. And I was like, well, it's me and Dom and me on another device. So
here's our first one. The channel technically started September 18th. Our first live stream was September 30th, 2022. You could see it's a rather short live stream, only 37 minutes. We weren't doing Cheap Heat. We didn't have a heck of a lot to talk about because we were very new and getting back into WWE's product. We still hadn't really decided to just go all in on the Italian Goodbye or Cheap Heat by then. Yeah. We didn't have the thumb drive. We didn't have cool backgrounds or anything.
No.
We didn't have headphones or microphones to make us sound a little better back then. I am still talking with my hands because I just do that all the time. There we go. It's still us. It's still on Restream. Go back and check that out if you'd like. And it has 23 views.
Look at that. And I can
more than half of them have to be us.
Yes. There's no way that people were clicking into it. But you know what? You never know, right? Maybe people are just clicking through the site and they land on it. So that's Cheap Heat. thank you guys so much for hanging in here. People on the live stream as well. I see people kind of starting to drop off, and is it that time, Dom?
It's that time. We're done. It's as inexpensive as the belt that MJF threw in the trash. It's as hot as Logan Paul looked at his brother's boxing match backstage under the arena. It's
Yep.
cheap heat.
Cheap heat. But now the cheap heat's over, we're going to go on to our next and final segment once I fix my camera. Okay, we're good now. Our last and final segment here is the Italian goodbye. Now, typically people just say bye and they end the show, but we kind of do an Italian goodbye. We start talking a little bit. We're in the foyer and we're chatting. We're talking about, what are your kids doing? Oh, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, okay. And then, you babble on for 30 minutes. It's the opposite of the Irish goodbye, where you just end stream. Bam, that's it. No, we Italian goodbye. We waffle and waffle and waffle and waffle. And,
so what are you doing next weekend, John?
SummerSlam, right?
SummerSlam. We're doing SummerSlam next weekend from Cleveland, Ohio. Probably going to live stream after that one, right? So those expecting a recap of SmackDown right before a pay-per-view is usually a little light on the real good content. So we'll skip that. And we will live stream later in the weekend for SummerSlam.
Maybe what we can do is cheap heat before the show.
We have done that before, and it was fun.
Yeah, we do the cheap heat before the show. Then the show hits. Then we just recap the show late at night. Depends.
Tune in around 6:30 then for cheap heat before the 7 o'clock, 6:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
Before the 7 o'clock start.
Hey, we have one person on still. What do you think? Are you looking forward to SummerSlam? Person who's on right now.
Yes, excellent. The viewer who wins the prize.
You do win the prize because you're the final viewer. So
the prize, of course, is our calling you out very affirmatively here on the live stream, which will be immortalized in the archive.
And listen, it's always helpful if you subscribe. So if you're not a subscriber now, please go ahead and do it. It helps our small channel a lot.
Yes.
We have to get to 1,000 subscribers to get ad revenue. So that's our major goal is 1,000 subscribers,
and it looks nice.
And it looks cool. Yes, exactly.
Right. We've started doing that with our videos. Like every now and then a video will take off, and we call them the figure fours. They reach quite literally 4 digits.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit 1,000, you're on that 4th digit now. So it just looks cool when you have that extra digit there. It was cool getting to 100. It's going to be cool getting to 1,000. We're on our way. So please like our videos when you like them. Don't just like them because if you don't like them, hey, hit the down like there, but also leave us a comment. Like, yell at us. Why don't you like it? What did we do that you disagreed with there?
Yeah, you can
Tell
come
us.
at us, but if it's dumb, then I'm going to block you. But if you say some shit that's dumb, I'm going to just say, screw you. And I'll say a nasty message and then block you and ban you from our site.
If it becomes the kind of thing that that YouTube may look at and be like, no, we gotta hide this now.
Yeah.
Because YouTube does that. They go out and they delete videos that are they hide videos that are 5 years old. Because they found something. So please do not say anything in your comments that will run afoul of you. Like no slurs.
No slurs. Avoid slurs. I know that's something that I feel like I shouldn't have to tell you, but YouTube commenters sometimes they're not the brightest bunch.
Avoid slurs.
Avoid slurs.
Avoid slurs. But other than that, we've had people educate us as to who Amazing Red is. And yes, I did take those commenters' advice and go looking for some of the matches they described.
Oh, did you? Did you see any good ones?
Yeah, lots of indie stuff. I saw an Amazing Red versus Ricochet match.
Oh, very cool. You should respond to the comments
from years ago. I did wind up looking for a few of those. So very good.
Yeah, no, you should. I would, if I were you, under your name, Dom. Maybe you could go back to them.
I will go look back for that video and maybe give a thumbs up there myself. Let's say thanks. Yeah, went looking for Amazing Red.
Yeah, very cool. How about
So
you?
let's think about the SummerSlam card here.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is because we were talking about how many belts are going to switch. SummerSlam 2024 card. Let's see here. The SummerSlam card.
I'm gonna go. You can run the show.
Okay.
Bathroom.
Here we go. SummerSlam card here. What do we have? We've got, I see 7 matches. So they are doing more than the standard 5. They're going 7 matches for SummerSlam, which is a big deal. Streaming live Saturday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific here in the U.S. Do the conversions for wherever else you are in the world. Yeah, we've got Cody Rhodes' belt is on the line. Damian Priest's belt is on the line. The U.S. Championship is on the line. The Intercontinental Championship is on the line. Both women's singles belts are on the line. So the 6 big belts are on the line. The tag team title belts are not on the line. They're probably, we're going to see some of that on the SmackDown before and maybe the Raw right after or even Raw this week. There is one non-title match on the card, but it has, I mean, it could be a title match. It's, of course, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as the special referee. That is the most star-studded match on the card, is the only one that's not a title match. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins is the referee. So that's a good one coming up. 7 matches. So does everyone retain? No, I hope not. Do all the heels win? I hope not. Do all the faces win? I hope not. Do all the challengers win? I hope not. I hope there's a mix across both of those axes. So along your X-axis and your Y-axis, I hope we're not along one of those axes at one of the extremes. I hope we get a mixture of some champions retain, but some champions lose. Some baby faces win, but some baby faces lose. I want to see a good mixture. I want to see good wrestling in the ring. I imagine this will be a 4-hour pay-per-view, not a 3-hour pay-per-view. Trying to get in maybe 2 matches per hour. So I expect if it really does start at 7, and that's not the pre-show, if the real pay-per-view starts at 7, then this should be over sometime between 10:30 and 11 p.m. Eastern. And I would like to see it. I would like to see all of these matches. I think they're all going to be great. I, of course, am interested in Logan Paul and LA Knight. That one has the most intrigue for me because Logan Paul has been doing a good job as a champion and as trying to be a full-time wrestler and promoting his wrestling career. On the other hand, LA Knight's been a workhorse. He's been a workhorse his entire career. He's finally getting his shot in the WWE, and really he made his own opportunity here. And, you know, the crowd responded to him so well that WWE gave him a push. And I wonder if this is going to be the payoff there. So many questions going into it. It looks like everybody on this card can wrestle, which is how it should be. Everybody on your card should be a great in-ring performer when you get to a pay-per-view like this. Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa, yes and yes. Damian Priest and Gunther, yes and yes. Gunther might be the best wrestler in the world in the ring. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, yes and yes. And even the special referee in that match, Seth Rollins, he can wrestle, yes for him. Women's World Champion Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, yes and yes. WWE Women's Champion Bayley and Nia Jax, yes and yes. Nia in her return stint here in the WWE, her comeback, she has been formidable and has looked good. Logan Paul versus LA Knight, yes and yes. Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker, yes and yes. Especially in his match with Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker is starting to look like a polished wrestler, not just a guy who does squashes. So I'm going to say yes and yes all the way down the card. Everybody involved in this pay-per-view can wrestle. I'm going to like it. John, what are you most looking forward to in SummerSlam, since this is really our last show before we get there?
Is Bianca and Jade on the card?
No, their match I think will be SmackDown the night before, facing whatever they call Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
Okay.
I think they have another name that I'm forgetting.
We haven't really seen Jade in a big match.
We have seen Jade in the tag team title matches with Bianca. I wonder when we're going to see a match where Jade is in the ring for most of the time.
Yeah. I should say this. We haven't seen her in a big match, meaning like sometimes her pre-show, you know, like she had a tag match on the pay-per-view that was a pre-show, which is like not really on it. And in this one now, like SmackDown the night before, like you need it, but it just shows you all the other matches are too good. They can't find it.
Yeah, everybody on this card can wrestle. And they're all singles matches. There are no tag team matches at SummerSlam.
Interesting. Even though we have a zillion tag belts.
All 6 matches are the 6 main roster singles championships. The 2 A-level men's, the 2 B-level men's, and the 2 women's singles titles.
What do you think?
As I was saying, the only non-title match on this card is probably the most star-studded one. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with special guest referee Seth Rollins.
What do you think about with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee? What do you think is going to happen there?
The kayfabe wise, he doesn't like either of these guys.
Yeah.
They don't like him. Who's he going to cost a victory here?
Like, will he just be a regular referee?
Somebody's going to get into it with him. He'll get into it with somebody. He has to, right? That match might be the most fun.
Yeah.
It's the only one without a title belt, and yet it's got the most star power, and it might be the most fun.
Well,
it is the most hyped on social media by far.
Yeah.
Thanks to Drew and CM Punk.
And Jack Perry.
And Jack Perry for a couple of days there before Drew McIntyre deleted it. Yes. It's a real photo. Cry us a river.
I liked when you said that. It's a real photo. Cry me a river.
There it is. I mean, that was Drew's lead in for posting it. So just reiterating Drew McIntyre's troll job of the pro wrestling internet media.
Cry me a river is great. Cry me a river is that's a good line.
Cry us a river. Taking it right from Jack Perry.
When Jack Perry came out in Chicago, like half the fans were booing him. The other half of the fans were singing, "Oh, cry me a river."
Yes.
Oh, cry me a river. I was like, I love that chant.
Yes, to the bass line from Seven Nation Army.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's become a very big sports song, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's got maybe the greatest bass line hook ever. I mean, that one and another one, Bites the Dust.
Yeah.
And maybe Under Pressure. Super Freak, which MC Hammer made into You Can't Touch This.
Yeah.
So between a couple of, Queen songs, Super Freak, Rick James, and what is it? The White Stripes there with Seven Nation Army.
Yeah. No,
your songs with those just instantly recognizable baseline hooks. Those become your great ones. Fantastic. If anyone else is still joining us, tell us what you're most looking to in SummerSlam. Tell us if we missed anything on today's recap or in Cheap Heat recapping the news from the week. Was there anything else you wanted us to talk about?
Dom, it looks like everyone got the picture and got the hell out of town. As we 0 viewers at the moment.
Everyone had their fill of us.
Yep. It said thanks for joining and telling goodbye. We told them what it is. We just kind of ramble on.
Once again, in true Italian goodbye fashion, we have overstayed our welcome.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Really appreciate it. Exciting stuff happening for the channel for sure. Hopefully in the coming days, very exciting stuff happening for the channel. Nick Teodoro, we'll definitely check out your channel.
The Wrestling Happy Hour, right?
Yes, I will put your channel name in the description of this video so people can get to it. And I've already subscribed, but I will check out your stuff. So thanks.
There you go. Pin a comment for him if you like it.
Yeah, no, I will. We'll definitely comment, and I'll check out some of your stuff. And yeah, I think we're good to go here, Dom. So my name's John Zadell. Dom, thank you so much for joining, and have a great rest of